We are halfway through January, or at least I am halfway through January. So I decided this is the best time to finally tell you what my 2024 favorites were. As you may or may not know, 2024 was my full year of not buying any makeup. Because of that, I didn't get to try too many new things, too many things that were new to me or just newly released to the market. I tried some new things, but if I was to pick only from things that were released in 2024, I don't think I would be able to pick enough or at all. Because of that, I considered every single thing I was using in 2024 and picked a standout product for each category. I based my list on my makeup inventory. If you haven't seen a video about my makeup inventory, I will link it below and in the cards. There are some categories where I had a very strong and certain winner, a product that I knew for sure that this is the one. And there are some categories where I wasn't able to pick a single product. Even though I used some things of that category throughout the year, nothing was worth it for me to be my 2024 favorites video. Without further yapping, I think I'll just get into the categories. The first product I want to talk about is a primer, and I did use I think around 5 primers throughout last year. That is the amount I had. I didn't purchase any new primers, and I have finished one. To be completely honest, I don't think I have anything that blew my mind and stole my heart and was completely amazing. However, when I thought about every single thing I tried, there were a lot of things that I liked, but I think the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter was one that stood out to me the most. I still stand by what I said earlier in one of my videos. I do think it's way too expensive for what it is. Nonetheless, I think it gives a nice effect. Obviously, for a price like that, it better give a nice effect. But it's basically a luminous, glow-giving product. It's not necessarily marketed as a primer. I think it's possible to use it as a primer, as a standalone base product, or even as liquid highlighter. I was using it mostly as a priming product of sorts. I would use it before my foundation, so I wouldn't technically expect it to prime my skin for makeup, but I was using it to add glow. And I personally like a lot of glow in my makeup. I like to be glowy. I feel like that makes my skin look more fresh and healthy and youthful. And this is the product that I was using for it that I was enjoying the most. It was easy to use. I absolutely hate how the packaging is already looking very ugly. I'm pretty sure it started looking like this within like a month after I got it, which I feel like for a price this expensive is quite unreasonable and shouldn't be happening, but oh well. As you can see, I haven't used up too much. I think I'm around here. So it's not a strong winner, but it is a pick for my last year. Next product will be foundation, and the one that I would pick is not here. I will also list all the products that I mentioned in my description box below, so you'll be able to find everything there. In case I'm not fully clear in the video, you will have it there typed out. But yeah, the product that I would like to pick for my foundation is a BB cream, actually, from a brand Mizon. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but you'll see it written down. And yeah, the full name of the product is Snail Repair Intensive BB Cream, and mine was in the shade 21 Light Beige. I really enjoyed that BB cream and I recommended it to a lot of people already. I think a common misconception about BB creams is that they're sheer coverage. This one was not sheer coverage at all. It was medium to full coverage, I would say. Definitely good enough for my bad skin days. Gave me a beautiful effect. Also looked glowy on the skin. In general, I didn't have any complaints. There was also a lot of product. I think it had like 50 milliliters, which I feel like foundations usually have less. So that was another advantage. I don't have it anymore because I have fully used it up. I emptied the product and I would possibly repurchase it. Right now I have a few different things that I want to finish up before I consider any purchases for my foundation category, but it is possible that I would consider it. I might want to try other things, but I will still keep it on my heart list of products that I like. Next one is Color Corrector, and this is the one that I was reaching for the most. I got it as a gift in the year of 2024. I'm not sure when it was released, but it's the Tarte Shape Tape Corrector. Mine is in the shade Peach. It works very well for me. I think because dark circles are usually bluish, purplish, and this orange, warm peach shade is pretty much on the opposite spectrum when it comes to the color wheel. It works very well. There were times when I used it alone on my very natural days without even covering it with concealer. On the everyday basis, I use it under my concealer, and I love it not just because of the shade, but I also really like how it stays put. I'm pretty sure that's the quality of the Shape Tape line. They have a lot of coverage and they dry matte and stay in place. And that was also my experience with this corrector. It wouldn't crease in the warmest of months in the summer when every single other thing I had creased. So for me that was a huge advantage, and I still love it now in the winter, and yeah, I'll continue to use it until it's gone, and it's possible that I would even buy it again after I'm done with that other thing I have. Next, for concealer, the first pick I don't have because I finished it completely, and it's the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I bought it out of nostalgia because I used to use it many years ago when I was a student and really like it. So I wanted to try it again, and it was a success. I really liked how it looked like. I felt like it's very natural looking, glowy, covered enough. In general, it was very enjoyable. And obviously something also that is very enjoyable about it is the price point. It's affordable, it's a drugstore concealer. I think that's a way easier pick than the other one that I'm about to mention, because it's way more expensive. The second concealer that I used most last year is the Natasha Denona HY-Glam concealer. Mine is in the shade N1, and for the Maybelline one, I'm pretty sure I used the shade 15. Yeah, I love the Natasha Denona concealer because of the finish. It has a lot of coverage, which is amazing for my dark circles. I have quite visible dark circles usually, and I like to cover them up, so this works perfectly. It also didn't crease too much, and it had a natural finish, so it looked very nice. It looked like it stayed well. It didn't dry out my skin. It wasn't too creasy or glowy. In general, it's really nice. I really like it. I know a lot of people also like to use it all over their skin. I do sometimes, although I usually use my BB creams, but if I'm in a rush and I just want to use concealer, it also works very well for that. In general, I know that it's expensive, but I really like it and I get the hype, and I might get it again at some point. I have like 4 other concealers before I even have to think about it, so... But I do recommend this one. For my powder, I also picked something I don't have anymore, and it's the Huda Beauty Bake powder. I had a mini version of the loose powder. Mine was in the shade Pound Cake. The reasons why I liked it were quite simple. It works very well. It was enjoyable. It looked good on my skin. The shade was very good. The makeup stayed put. It also smelled nice. I know that for some people that is not an advantage, and I'm pretty sure they've released a powder that doesn't have a scent, but I'm not sure on that. I personally don't have an issue with scents, and I really enjoyed the fact that it did smell nice. It was a nice addition to my morning routine. It was just a really nice powder, and I know that a lot of people say that, so I'm sure it's not the first time you hear it. But yeah, it is a powder that I would recommend, and I picked as my favorite from 2024. Next, for setting sprays, I picked 2 sprays. Not both of them are setting. One of them is setting, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I have a mini version here. As you can see, it's pretty much full. I think I used this one just once. However, I am picking it as my favorite because this is the second one I have. I had a mini last year as well, and I used it up completely. I think this is the best setting spray I've ever used. I didn't try every single one on the market, of course, but I tried quite a few, and my general opinion of setting sprays was that they make me look too dry. They set the makeup weirdly, everything cakes up, it's patchy, and in general, And with this one, I did not have that experience. I feel like it covers my makeup with a layer, like a protective layer, that is at the same time giving a natural look. If my makeup was looking a bit too dry, it would also help with that. It would give my makeup a more natural, slightly glowy look. Not too glowy, but it would make me look healthy, basically, not dried out from the powder. And most importantly, that is probably the only powder that made my makeup look good throughout actual long days. I would use it whenever I had to go to the office, whenever I was traveling and had to look good for the entire day, and it always worked the best out of all setting sprays that I've ever tried. It is very expensive. I know, Charlotte Tilbury is very expensive. There's no avoiding saying that. But I think this one is worth it for special occasions. I don't use it every day. I only use it when I really feel like I want my makeup to look good throughout a long period of time. That is also why I have a mini. I got it as a gift. I didn't buy it, but I'm glad I have a mini because I'll be able to travel with it. Yeah, I recommend this one a lot. For my second spray, I have the MAC Fix Plus. Mine is in the scent Lavender. I don't know if that changes literally anything about the formula. I think it's just the scent. I put it here even though we had a very rocky relationship last year. This is the first MAC Fix Plus I've ever tried in my life. So I think I just came with a lack of knowledge and experience. Because at the beginning, I would use it at the end of my makeup. I would spray my face with it as if it's a setting spray, and then I would hate it. And I would hate it because it would melt my mascara, it would make my eyeshadow crease sometimes, my mascara would stamp onto my face. In general, it wouldn't really do anything good, so I didn't see a benefit. It obviously doesn't make my makeup last longer, because that's not the purpose of it. However, I started loving it when I decided to try it on a day when I had a terrible concealer. I don't remember what it was, but I had the worst concealer day. My under eyes looked absolutely terrible. It was very patchy. It looked very, very bad. And I wanted to fix it, but it was already powdered, so I didn't want to apply a cream concealer on top just to not make it even worse. So I used this to rehydrate my makeup and fix it then with some new concealer, a better one. And it helped, and it worked. And I was so surprised at first, and then I decided to like actually give it a proper try. And slowly but surely, I found a way that I really like it. And my favorite way to use it is after I'm done with all of my base makeup, so my foundation, concealer, bronzer, blush, highlighter, powder, everything, but before my brows and my eyes, so no eyeshadow, no mascara, nothing like that. I just spray my face at that point. It rehydrates everything, melts everything. It really makes my skin look better and more natural. It makes makeup that before using it looked like makeup. It makes it look like my face. Obviously not 100%, but it really makes it look better. I guess that's why everybody loves it, and I know that at first I didn't get it at all. I kind of hated it, but yeah, now I'm joining the hype train, I guess. I do think it's a good product. I don't know if it's marketed well enough or if I was just not following the instructions. I think they need to give better instructions on how to use it and what's the purpose of it. And maybe they do if you buy it in store. Very long story, I apologize, but I'm also picking this. Next one is bronzers, and I separated that into powder bronzers and cream bronzers. For powder bronzers, I have a Kaleidos Symphony Contour Trio in Fair. It looks like this. It's basically a contour palette. I use the lightest shade as a finishing powder. I would lighten some areas of my face or just add a little glow if something looks too flat. As a powder, it does not work at all. It's too glowy and not setting enough. If you've been watching my videos before, you might know that I once filmed a video where I tried it on for the first time, and I thought I don't like it because of how cool toned it is. However, through consistent use and multiple tries, I figured out that I actually do like that it's cool toned. I just piled on too many cool toned things at once on that day, while I probably wasn't feeling like doing cool toned makeup, which is important. Obviously, I wouldn't like the kind of makeup I don't feel like doing. However, now it really grew on me. I really, really like it. I think the cool tone of the products makes it really good as contour. I think it works for my undertones well. I have a cooler pinkish undertones. It's really smooth, very fine, it's pretty sheer, and it's pressed pretty hard into the pan. I find it to be very easy to use. I never pick up too much. I always can pick up more and I can add on and build, but it's never too much. I just find it very easy to use. It also comes in a tin packaging, which is very convenient for travel. It's very flat, small, comfortable, feels safe and secure. In general, I'm a fan. I use this every single day and I'm planning to use this until I'm done with it. For cream bronzers, my picks were a bit more difficult. I didn't really feel passionate about any single product. However, I did pick two products that I really enjoyed. I liked them for every day, which I feel like is very important. That usually means that the product is easy to use and fussless, and one of them surprised me positively. First of all, I'm picking Makeup by Mario SoftSculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. Mine is in the shade Light Medium. As you can see, I have a pan on it, which you could say it means that I love it a lot, and I do like it. However, the pan is here because there's not that much of product in it. The layer is not that thick, so it was quite easy to hit pan, to be honest. I was very surprised when I did hit pan. The reasons why I really like this product is because it's sheer. You might see a trend here. I like sheer bronzers apparently. I find them easy to use, and this one as well. I found it very easy to use. I used it a lot in situations when I was in a rush, I didn't have time or mental capacity to think about my makeup or how to make it good. I wanted something that just like works without any effort, blends itself, is sheer enough not to be problematic, and I found that this was perfect for it. I really enjoyed it. I like the texture. I think the packaging is cute. And yeah, that's the product that really positively surprised me. My other cream bronzer pick is Charlotte Tilbury again. I'm sorry. Apparently I like Charlotte Tilbury. Maybe it's expensive for a reason. I'm picking the Contour Wand in the shade Fair Medium. I have it in full size. That's the only wand from Charlotte Tilbury that I have in full size. I have a bunch of minis from blushes and a highlight. It looks like it's full because it filled up with air. I think there's like this much left. I was using it today and I had to squeeze quite a lot to get any product out of it. The reasons why I like this is, again, it's sheer enough to be easy to use. It is very easy to use. It's very blendable, and something else that I really enjoy is how cool toned the shade is. Same thing as for the Kaleidos bronzer or contour palette. It just works very well for my skin tone, so if you have a warm skin tone that might be terrible for you, but for me that was great. And I will continue using it, and I hope to finish it up also because it's super expensive as any Charlotte Tilbury product. So hopefully we'll see that in an empties at some point. When it comes to blushes, for cream blushes, it was quite hard for me to pick. I like my blush to be visible. I like it to have coverage. I like it to not be too easy to blend away by accident. I also feel like I used a lot of powder blushes instead of cream, so that might have also contributed to it being harder for me to pick something. But I did pick something, and I picked a liquid blush from Glamshop. Mine is in the shade Positive Pink. I mixed it just now because it separates quite badly. It did that from the very beginning. It says shake well before use, so I assume it's normal. But I am like halfway done with it. It's a really nice pink shade. I really like pink blushes, so this shade worked very well for me. But most importantly, what I like about it is the texture. It is quite creamy despite being liquid and has a lot of coverage. It's like thick, so it doesn't blend away too easily. And I even compared it to the famous Rare Beauty blushes, which have a more serum-y consistency, while this is more thick and kind of reminds me of melted chocolate. I also like that it's quite affordable. It's a Polish brand. If you don't know, I am Polish, happy to support Polish brands. And the only thing I really don't like about it is how short the expiration date is. Technically, it's supposed to be good for just 6 months after opening. Yeah, maybe if that's the only thing you're using, you would go through it, or at least most of it, but that's just not the reality for a lot of us, and I feel like any product would benefit from having slightly longer period after opening that it's good for. Just my opinion. But yeah, that's Glamshop liquid blush. For a powder blush, I am picking something I got in PR. Not because I got it in PR, but because I was genuinely loving using those blushes. And those are my Odens blushes. I have 4 matte blushes from Odens, and those are the ones I'm picking. I'm not necessarily picking a single shade, because I think for different looks, different shades work. However, I think if I had to buy one just for me, I would probably go with Lilac Mist. This is how Lilac Mist looks like. It's not very lilac, it's more of a, I guess, cool toned pink, and a shade that I generally tend to gravitate towards. Other than that, I also have the shade Pink Bloom, which is more of a nude, Luminous Heat, which is a red-orange kind of shade, and Radiant Flame, which is a magenta pink. For those more vibrant, darker shades, I was pretty sure when I first saw them that there's no way I would be able to use them. I was convinced that they would be too dark for my skin. However, if used with a light hand and very gently and softly and carefully, they really are usable and blendable and buildable. I think if you're interested in having one of those shades, that's definitely not something to be discouraged because of. But obviously the lighter shades will work just easier. The reason why I picked those blushes is because of how pigmented they are. I like that they're pigmented. It makes them slightly harder to use if you're not really used to using blush. However, if you want blush to be visible on your cheeks, a pigmented blush is the way to go. If you don't like a pigmented blush, if you don't like a matte blush, those are not for you. But for me and what I was preferring last year, they worked very, very well. I also like how big they are. Not packaging wise, obviously that's not ideal for travel, but there's a lot of product in each of them. And I think that just makes them more worth it if you're going to buy one. They also have a very long period after opening when they're good to use, which is also important. You can basically buy one blush and it will last you a very long time and it will be good for a very long time. So it's not like you'll be using an expired blush, which I find important. So yeah, those are my picks for 2024 favorite blush. Then for highlight. I love to be glowy. I really like highlighters. I already mentioned I like glowy skin. I like to be shiny. I like sparkle. In general, anything that is shiny, glowy, and sparkly, I want. However, or maybe because of that, I don't have any natural looking favorite highlights. I used, I think, 3 cream highlighters last year. None of them stood out to me enough to be put as my 2024 favorite. And I used a bunch of powder, natural looking highlighters. And again, there was not really anything that I loved enough last year to put it in this video. So unfortunately, there's not a single natural looking highlighter. However, I do have a favorite colorful highlighter. I have every single highlighter Kaleidos currently has. I have them since a few years. They're basically colorful highlighters. There's Solar Sailor, that's yellow. There's Ray Rider is actually natural. So I guess I could put it as my natural favorite. Although it's not my favorite of the line, just because it's natural. I find it the most boring. Then I have Star Surfer, which was the most used highlighter I have from last year. It's light pink. It's natural with a twist, which is something I really enjoy. Then there's Mars Melter, which is a rose gold. There's Moon Cruiser, which is a purpley blue, bluish purple, blurple. There's Skywalker, which is a blue. And then there are 2 multichromes, which is Prophecy and Gifted, with Prophecy being the older one and more peachy, and Gifted being the new one and more magenta. Other than that, they're quite similar. From my slightly limited experience and based on my preferences, these are the absolute best. I love them ever since I got them. They're this little gem in my collection. I love them because of their smooth texture, and they have a translucent base, which makes them work way better on my skin, my cheek, but also on top of eyeshadow. I absolutely love to use them not only on my cheekbones, but also in my inner corner, brow bone. I sometimes use them on top of my eyeshadow or just as eyeshadow. I think they're just great, and if you have never tried any of them, I highly, highly recommend. You don't have to get every single one like me. Watch some reviews, see some swatches, pick one you like, and I think you might love it. I think these are the best ever. And obviously keep in mind, I haven't tried every single thing. I'm not you, I don't know what you like, but for me, these are the best. And if I had to pick one, just based on how much I used it, it would be Star Surfer. I used it the most. It's pink. I love pink. For my brow product favorites, I don't have them anymore. I finished or decluttered both. Both are from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's Brow Freeze and the Brow Pomade. I absolutely love Brow Freeze to set my brows. I used the whole thing up. I was a little skeptical when I just got it. I couldn't figure out how to use it, and I thought at first I don't like it, but once I figured it out, I loved it. I feel like it held my brows up in the best way, in a way that not a single other brow product that I have tried since was able to. So even though currently I'm using other things and there might be some things I want to try before I go back to that, I am pretty certain that at some point I will go back to my Brow Freeze era again, just because of how much I liked it. And while it technically is a product to make the laminated brow look, I don't think that you have to. I think it works for whatever shape you're interested in. I personally don't have too many brow hairs, and the ones that I have go down, so I feel like any help I can get is really useful. So if I can just lift them up a little and make them stay there while I draw them in with the brow pomade, by the way, it's very useful. And the reason why the brow pomade is my favorite is because of several reasons. The shade blonde is just perfect for me, I feel. I like the control that using it with a brush gives me. I feel like for me that's the easiest way to create a desirable brow look. It's very easy to travel with, which is important to me, and most importantly, there's a lot of product. The one I had lasted me over 2 years, and when it dried out there was still product left, so I didn't even finish it, which I prefer it that way than what I have now. I got a Brow Wiz and it has 0.085 grams of product in it, while costing slightly more than a dip brow. I was absolutely outraged when I saw that, so great. I'm definitely not getting a Brow Wiz again just because of that. I feel like it's absolutely not worth it, and if anything I will get a dip brow pomade again in the shade Blonde, and I recommend it. If the light looks a bit different, that's because my camera died and now it's a few hours later, so the sun has set and I am just stuck with my whatever lights I have. So the next thing I was talking about was my favorite eyeshadow primer of 2024. To be honest, it's not just 2024, it's also 2023, 22, 21. Whenever it was that I discovered this product, I haven't stopped using it since. And it's NYX Glitter Primer. And the reason why it's a favorite is mostly because I use it with every single eye look I do, apart from maybe like a totally matte look, which is not something I do very often. I think the NYX Glitter Primer is made to use as a glue for glitter, like if you use actual loose glitter. That is also how I use it, but every day mostly. What I use it for is just to prime for my shimmer eyeshadows. I find that this is the best method I've ever discovered that makes my shimmers not only not have any fallout, but most importantly stick to the lid very well and look the most vibrant and intense. That is honestly my secret. It's not a secret. That is my trick to getting my shimmer eyeshadows to be the most vibrant and the most shimmery. So it has been an essential product for me and a favorite since many years, and it will most likely continue to be. I do change my eyeshadow primers that I use as a base for everything, as a base for my matte eyeshadows. However, when I'm done with the matte eyeshadows and I want to apply shimmer, I always reach for my NYX Glitter Primer. And I can't wait to have it again because it's really just a game changer for me. Next category is eyeliners, and I picked two different brands. The first one is 1999 and it's their Precision Color Pencil. Mine is in the shade Barna. I hope it's focusing, but this is how it looks like. It's just a simple, sharpenable, dark brown eyeliner. I got mine in the Cult Beauty Advent Calendar from 2023. I have not heard of the brand before that. I have not tried anything from them before. This is my first and only product I've ever tried, and I love it. And the reason why I love it is because of how smoothly it glides. I think I saw on the Instagram page of the brand that their products are aimed for more mature skin that maybe pulls a little easier on the eyes, so it requires a softer eyeliner just to work better without skipping and without pulling on the skin too much. And while my skin is not really mature yet, I'm 30, but I mean my skin didn't change that much since 10 years ago. I do love how easy it is to use. I generally don't like using eyeliners that are not liquid to create a wing or generally on top of my lids as opposed to in my waterline. But this is the first one that is literally super easy to use. And if you haven't tried their eyeliners, I highly recommend it. The color is really nice. It's a chocolate brown, a dark chocolate brown, and it works beautifully and I really love it. I recommend it a lot. And the second brand that I recommend eyeliners from is Kaleidos Epiphany Glow Melt On Eyeliners. Mine are in the shade Sea Sparkle, Night of Creation and Tourmaline. Tourmaline shifts between green and burgundy maroon kind of shade. Night of Creation shifts between blue and purple, and then Sea Sparkle is just a light sparkly blue eyeliner. The reason why I like them is, first of all, pretty unusual colors. I feel like at the time when I heard about them and I got them, I haven't really seen that many duochrome eyeliners that had a reputation of being actually good. I like how pigmented they are, how intense, vibrant and sparkly they are. I also like how easy they are to use. They glide on the skin very easily, even on top of the eyelid. They're very useful for my colorful looks, and I think that if you would be ordering from Kaleidos, at least one of these would be a great addition to your order. They have 0.2 grams of product in each, which is not a lot, but considering how unusual the colors are and that you most likely wouldn't be using them for every day, I feel like that could be enough, especially considering that they also have a 6-month period of use after opening. So because they're eyeliners and something that goes near your eyes or pretty much in your eyes, it's better that there's less product considering how quickly they might expire, just for your safety. This whole expiration thing is a big topic on my mind recently, which is why I talk about it so much. But yeah, I've just been thinking about it a lot. In any case, for colorful eyeliners, my favorite of 2024 were Kaleidos. Next category on my list is mascara. However, despite trying, I think, 5 mascaras, I don't feel like I can pick any of them as my absolute favorite. There has been some that I enjoyed or that were fine. However, none of them were amazing enough or suitable enough for my needs to be my favorites. So I'm not picking any mascaras for my favorites of 2024. Next, I have single eyeshadows, and as much as I would like to say that it's Cliona or Glaminatrix because I spend a lot of money on those and I have literally 2 big palettes. This one is full of my Cliona shades. This one is full of my Glaminatrix shades. Unfortunately, I did not use them enough. It is my goal for 2025 to use my single shadows more. Hopefully get as much use out of them as possible before they expire. At the moment, while I did use them sometimes, I haven't in a while, and I feel like I haven't used them enough to be able to give such an opinion. My pick for my favorite single shadow of 2024, it's Bobbi Brown Luxe Eyeshadow Rich Sparkle. It's a very pretty nude sparkly champagne shade. It's beautiful in the inner corner. I also used it kind of like a highlighter on top of my cheeks. I liked it on my brow bone. I also enjoyed it as just a simple nude sparkly look all over my lid. It's really pretty. The reason why I'm not happy to pick it is because of how expensive it is. I'm pretty sure it costs over 50 euros for just this one single shadow for 50 euros. It's outrageous in my opinion. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it, but well, I can't say that I didn't like it. So even though I definitely don't think it's worth 50 euros, if you can find it on sale or maybe in a palette, I know Bobbi Brown often puts it in their holiday palettes and you probably can get them cheaper, either because it's a palette or maybe on sale because it's a holiday release or something. Getting it as a single is not really worth it, but I did enjoy it, which is why it's in my favorites. My next category is eyeshadow palettes, and I have picked 5. Something I did last year and I will also do this year is I really tried to spread out my uses between all of my products. So I really tried to make sure that I use every single palette I have at least sometimes, and because of how many I have, that meant that I didn't really focus on one palette and used it a lot. The amount of uses all of the palettes got were pretty equal. However, I have these 5 palettes that really stood out. One that I used the most, I used 23 times this year. And like I said, while it does not sound like a lot, it is a lot considering what I was trying to do. So I kept reaching for it for some reason, even though I had so many other ones that I was also trying to use. I will name them in no particular order. I did not rank them, so these are just my standout palettes from last year, but I'm not picking one favorite one. So the first one is my Natasha Denona Mini Starlit palette. I'm pretty sure it released at the end of 2023, and it is a palette that I often traveled with. I travel quite a lot in my private life just because I like to, as well as for work. And I found that this was a perfect travel companion for me. It's small, it has everything I need. The palette is light enough to work with my skin tone really well. And it also has one more coppery metallic shade, as well as one champagne with blue sparkle special shade. It is really pretty. But yeah, I picked it because it was super useful for travel, and also that is one of the reasons why I used it so much. My next pick was also super useful for travel, and it's also a palette from Natasha Denona. It's their Glam Face palette in the shade Fair. It's a very nude palette. It contains eyeshadows as well as a cream blush and a highlighter, a powder highlighter. The eyeshadows worked perfect for every day, so again the palette was perfect both for traveling as well as for work. The shimmers were very sparkly, so even when using them for a very casual occasion, I still felt like me because I like to sparkle and they help me sparkle. I also really like the blush and the highlighter in the palette. The blush has a pretty muted pink color. The texture is pretty clay-like. It's a bit tough to pick up with a brush, but I was always picking it up with my finger and then just maybe helping me blend with a sponge. So it wasn't hard to use at all. The highlighter is also very pretty, very shiny, no complaints at all. In general, perfect palette for every day, and it was a very positive surprise for me. I got it because I saw someone else say that this palette was their biggest surprise, biggest positive surprise. So I really wanted to experience that too, and while at the beginning I wasn't fully convinced, it got me. I really like it. I do not regret getting it, and I'm very happy with it. My third pick is my last pick from Natasha Denona, and it's probably not a surprise to anyone. This palette was extremely popular when it came out, and probably still, and it's the I Need a Nude palette. I think that out of all the neutral palette that she has released, also since this palette, that includes the gold one, the warm one, my dream palette, every palette that could count as a neutral or suitable for every day. This one is the most perfect for me, and many people, considering its popularity, obviously. But like I mentioned, I do have cooler undertones to my skin tone, so the fact that these eyeshadows also have a lot of cooler tones, even though it says nude, it does have a lot of grayish undertones. Because of that, it worked very well for me. I think my favorite things about this palette is how good the mattes are. I really like Natasha Denona mattes, so it's absolutely perfect to have them in these shades. I often not only reached for this palette as a whole to create a whole look, but very often used it as a base to combine with a different palette who maybe was lacking some of the more neutral shades. So I love the mattes, and out of the shimmers, I absolutely love the shade Muse. However, I think my favorite one is Mia, which is a light pink shimmer. I loved it in my inner corner, my brow bone. I think, considering what I already said earlier, we know that I love pink shimmers. This palette was like made for me, and many other people. It's super popular. I think it's their like bestseller or something. Moving on from Natasha Denona and towards indie makeup, my next favorite eyeshadow palette of 2024 is Glaminatrix Rich Romantic. It's a beautiful palette, leaning heavily towards more pinky shades, although you definitely can build looks that are not pink. It contains a bunch of duochrome and multichrome eyeshadows, which I absolutely love. And if you've never tried Glaminatrix eyeshadows, their quality is beautiful. Even the packaging is really pretty. I know they changed the packaging for this palette now, and it's even prettier. It's like covered in flowers or whatever. I have the older one, but I'm still really happy. I think the palette is beautiful. The pinks often shift into green, so if that's something that might bother you, then maybe this is not the right pick. However, for me, I don't mind it. I think it's amazing. One of my favorite palettes that I have. And last but not least, the special shout out goes out to the palette that I used the most last year. And to be honest, I'm quite surprised to see that this is the palette with the biggest number of uses from last year, just because of how red it is. And it's the Odens Silvery Bliss palette. It looks like this, and I think you can even maybe see that some of the pans have dips in them, just because of how much I used it. I got this palette in PR, but I don't think that's really influencing my opinion. I was reaching for this palette behind the scenes a lot. I definitely think that what contributed to me using this palette so much was that I was leaning towards red eyeshadow for the holiday season, so I really enjoyed it for that. I also took it with me for work, and I will say the shade Softness here is perfect for everyday looks. The shade Silvery Bliss is the most beautiful, sparkly, mauvey, neutral, taupey, whatever shade. The shade Holiday Wishes is a beautiful red. I don't think I have a different sparkly red. If I do, I can't remember, but this one was definitely a standout. I also love the shade Reminiscence. It's a gray, and you wouldn't really think that I would love it so much, but it turned out to be the perfect outer corner darkening shade for me. Also, the shade Golden Glam is a beautiful greenish gold. And yeah, in general, there were many reasons why I really reached for this palette so much. I did not expect it. All of the other palettes were more everyday friendly, I feel. I do think that I just went crazy for it during the holiday season. Now I'll move on to the lip products and we'll be done with the video. For my lip balms, I don't have any of the ones that I will be recommending now. However, that is because I just finished them. And I think that just emphasized how much I like them, that I don't have them anymore. One is from the brand Kinship. I also got it in my Cult Beauty Advent Calendar in 2023. I went through that lip balm like water. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed it. And then the next one, and the one that I used the longest throughout the last year, was the Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream lip balm, whatever. It's in a little jar and you can buy it on an airport, at least in Europe. I got it from a friend because she thought that this is such an amazing lip balm, and she was correct. I absolutely loved it. It's very moisturizing, very healing also. I'm not sure what the ingredients are, but I used it as a night mask for my lips, so I would apply it before going to sleep. And if I really needed it throughout the day, like my lips were super dry or something, I would also sometimes use it. But I would mostly use it throughout the night. That alone was enough to fix my lips from any issue I would ever have. I used it for pretty much the whole year. It took me over 300 uses to finish it up. It lasted me a long time. It was amazing. And the moment I ran out of it and I started using other products, I really felt a difference. I am now making more harsh opinions about lip balms because of this amazing experience that I had. I really recommend you grab it and try it because it's really, really good. The next product I kind of include in between lip balm and lip gloss categories. Technically they are lip balms, I think, but some of them I use as lip glosses when they have more color. And these are my Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balms. I have 4 shades, as you can see. I definitely don't need that hot cocoa one that is so tempting to me. I have a translucent one in the shade Vanilla. That one I use before going to sleep now instead of the Elizabeth Arden one. It's great. It smells like vanilla, moisturizes my lips perfectly, stays on, is delicious. Love it. Then I have 2 more brownie ones, and that is Vanilla Beige and Iced Coffee. I really love both of these. Vanilla Beige, again, smells like vanilla, and Iced Coffee smells, according to them, like coffee. I think it smells more like caramel. In any case, both smell delicious and look very nice and are very pleasant to use. And then the last one, and the one that I use more kind of like a lip gloss, even though it's a lip balm, is the shade Cherry. It's a red shade. It actually looks kind of red. When applied, it looks like a sheer red lip gloss. And it smells like cherries. And again, it's nourishing, it's moisturizing, it's beautiful, it smells amazing. Love it. Another thing I really like about these is that they contain 15 grams of product, which is a lot. Most lip glosses and lip balms don't have this much product. So for me, that's a huge advantage. I love how much product they have. And I think that when the time comes and I'm out of all of these, I will be definitely buying more because that's how much I love them. Moving on to proper lip glosses, I have a lip gloss from Clarins. Technically, it's a lip oil. It's called Lip Comfort Oil. Mine is in the shade Chocolate. And again, I love it for similar reasons. It smells like sweet candy. So if you're not into vanilla chocolatey scents, this might be a better pick. It smells so good. This shade is brown, but it's sheer. It emphasizes the color of my lips, but it doesn't really add too much. But the thing I love about it the most is how nourishing it is. I love lip products, especially lip glosses, that make my lips feel better. I really don't like it when I use a lip gloss and my lips feel dry. Because what's the point? I might just apply something else. So this one meets all the criteria. It smells nice, it looks beautiful, and it also is very nourishing for the lips. And whenever I know that I'll be in a very dry surrounding, I know that this is a safe pick to take with me. This one contains 7 milliliters of product, so less than Summer Fridays, but it's still on the higher level of amount when it comes to lip glosses. For my lipstick category, I decided to pick Tarte Juicy Lips. I don't have any. If you watched my expired makeup video, you know that I did have 2 and they were very old. And I was considering finishing them, but I checked again how old they were and I decided that it's too old, so I got rid of them. However, I did use them throughout the year and I did use one mini that I finished last year. So I decided that I still can put that as my #1 favorite lipstick of 2024. Currently, the only one that I have left is the Juicy Lip Plump, and it's a mini, so I think I'll go through it pretty fast. The formula is a bit different just because it's the plumping version, so I think I like this one less, and if I was going to recommend one, I would definitely go for the standard one, but I'm still excited to use it. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to pick a specific shade. I like the Juicy Lip formula as a whole. And I like it for similar reasons as I liked my other favorite products. It's very nourishing, it's moisturizing, it smells great, it adds enough color to look nice, but it's not too overpowering. It just really works with my style of what I'm currently enjoying. And yeah, I decided to pick it as my favorite. Last but not least, I also have a favorite liquid lipstick of 2024. I think you can tell how much I like it just based on how many I have. It's the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Ink, and I have shades Cheeky, Lippy, Witty, Royal, and Awestruck. I hope I pronounced them all correctly. I obviously have one bold red. I got it for Christmas. Love it. I also have one that looks pretty bold on me, but probably would look nude on most skin tones. That's the shade Witty. It's a mauve shade, a darker mauve for me. And then the shade Lippy is a maroon color that pretty much looks red on me. If you wouldn't compare it with Royal, then it would be red for me. And then Cheeky and Awestruck are nudes. There are several reasons why this is my favorite liquid lipstick of 2024. First of all, the staying power. The only reason I would ever wear a liquid lipstick over a lipstick that might be comfortable for my lips is if I want something to last for a very long time without me needing to look in the mirror. That might be because I have a dinner event when I'll be eating, but I don't want to be fixing my lipstick all the time. That might be because I'll be working the whole day, and again, I don't want to have to check my lipstick all the time. Basically, I go for a liquid lipstick when I want to know that I can really trust that my lips look good and the way they did in the morning. And with this liquid lipstick, I really feel like that criteria is met. Apart from that, even if that criteria would be met, I would still not use them if they weren't comfortable. And that is a big thing, again, for me with these. They're very comfortable to wear. They're not like those traditional liquid lipstick that we might have seen in 2016 or whatever, where your lips dry out and all moisture is just sucked out of them and it feels horrible, but you're wearing them because everybody's wearing them and yeah, everybody's suffering. That's not that. First of all, as the name vinyl suggests, they don't even look matte. They kind of stay looking glossy, which to me was amazing because even after a couple of hours, even after drinking, eating, talking for a long time, they would still maintain this slightly glossy appearance, which makes your lips look more fresh and just juicier and better in general, not dried out. But also because they don't have this drying out formula, and rather than that, they have a formula that kind of coats your lips and stays there on top. In general, they're just way more comfortable than most liquid lipsticks, I feel, and they have a super long staying power. To the point that if you want to remove them in the evening, the best way to do that would be to use a oil. For me, that's something that is super useful. It's a very useful tool to have. There are situations when I need my lipsticks to stay, and then I just go for these. This is currently the only red lipstick I have, and I know that I can trust it because even though it's very bright and very dark on me, it will not go anywhere. It will stay looking the way it was looking when I applied it until I decide to take it off. I will not be buying any more shades for now because of how many I have, but I do recommend that if you haven't, you try at least one of them. Pick a shade, test it out. It's Maybelline, it's not expensive, I'm not sponsored. I really recommend it, and it just had to be my favorite liquid lipstick of 2024. Okay, and with that being said, that is all. We've went through a lot of products. I yapped for way too long. If anyone is still watching, thank you so much. If you're still here, please put a lipstick emoji in the comments. I want to know if at least one person got to the end of this video. But yeah, apart from that, also please tell me if any of the products that I talked about also ended up in your favorites. If maybe you have a very different opinion about any of them. I'm really curious. Also, let me know what were your favorite products if there's something that I really need to try. I will consider. I am on a low buy this year, but I will consider. But yeah, I really hope this was interesting. I hope it was enjoyable and maybe even useful. And if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing, commenting, liking the video. I will really appreciate that. Other than that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!